There is no other period on the Jewish calendar which turns out in reality exactly not how it was intended to be. Sefirat HaOmer. You just have to say the word, the Omer, and immediately we associate it with mourning and sadness. Of course, the death of Rabbi Akiva's students. But this is exactly not what the Bible, what the Torah intended. We all know Parashat Omer, read this week in Chutz La'aretz, and last week in Israel, speaks of Sefirat HaOmer, the 3 mitzvot of bringing the Korban HaOmer, the Sefirat HaOmer, the waving of the Omer offering on Pesach, and then the Mincha Chadasha Shtei Alechem, the two breads on Shavuot 50 days later, and of course the period counting, the 50 days of counting, Sefirat HaOmer, Shabbat, counting from Pesach all the way up to Shavuot, connecting the physical redemption from Egypt, Yetziat Mitzrayim, and the spiritual redemption, completing the process, the receiving of the Torah. So yes, these days are supposed to be days of anticipation, counting up, preparing ourselves, in the words of the Zohar, as we all know, from the 49th level of impurity, so low, almost as low as human beings could go, all the way up for 50 days to the highest level of tahara, of purification. So these days are supposed to be days of anticipation, days of purification, days of happiness. And yet, through Jewish history, little under 2,000 years ago, the death of Rabbi Akiva's students, they've turned into days of Omer, days of mourning, days of Avelut. What I find incredible, and with this I'll end, is Davka, the month of Iyar, which was supposed to be a full month of preparation, all the way up to Sivan, when we arrived at the foot of Mount Sinai and accepted the Torah. It was supposed to be a day of all of this brimming with expectation, happiness, and anticipation, and has become, as we said, a time of difficulty and tragedy. How fortunate we are in the modern era, only since the establishment of the State of Israel, on Hey Iyar, exactly 2 weeks after Pesach. We know that the 5th of Iyar, the Independence Day, is exactly on the same day of the week that Shvi Shel Pesach is, the day of Kriyat Yam Suf, the splitting of the sea. So Pesach, 2 weeks after Pesach, Yom HaAtzmaut in the beginning of Iyar, and at the end of Iyar, next Shabbat, Kafchet Iyar, the 28th of Iyar, the day of the return to Jerusalem and the liberation of the old city of Yerushalayim and reunification of the city. So incredibly, the beginning of the month Yom HaAtzmaut, the end of the month Yom Yerushalayim, the modern days of redemption of Israel and Jerusalem are specifically in Iyar, because it is brimming with significance. These modern days are redeeming the time of the Omer, which was supposed to be times of anticipation and become times of tragedy through our Galut experience, are now those days which are now becoming the days of happiness and redemption. And just like the 5th of Iyar and the 28th and the beginning of the end are beginning to transform our experience today in the Omer, so too should all of the month of Iyar, as was intended through Sefirat HaOmer, become days where a body and soul, physical and spiritual redemption come together in Israel, returning this unity to be a time of happiness, a time of expectation, a time of celebration, Bezrat Hashem, for all of Klal Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom.